I think that after being vegan for over 10 years, I've come across a lot of really important misconceptions, and a lot of these I actually fell for myself, and I wish I would have known better back in the day.
Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So we all know who John Venus is, right? For better, for worse. Well, you may or may not know he also has a brother who's a vegan and is actually a medical doctor. And I'm responding to Leo Venus's nonsense here. And before I get started, I respect you, Leo, if you're watching. Yeah, medical doctors. Yeah, I know you guys are intelligent. You undergo a lot of training. You're experts in your fields, and I respect that. However, and with Leo's, you're about to see Leo say here, he's venturing into my wheelhouse where I have the education and experience in philosophy and critical thinking, and it's just best if Leo just kept to practicing medicine and kept the philosophical stuff to me and others, because you'll see this is a complete mess, and in essence what he's doing is validating and respreading anti-vegan misinformation. I didn't see his whole video, by the way. I just got like maybe 6 minutes into a 25-minute video, and I had plenty to respond to here. So let me know if you want to see a part 2. Let's get started.
That drinking milk is rape. See, I'm almost cringing saying this out loud. No, again, this is again another word that denotes a crime between human beings, which is the action of forcing yourself upon someone and forcing them to have sexual intercourse with you against their own will, right, without consent.
So Leo, you're just playing a semantic game here. So you don't like the word rape. You're arguing, as you rightfully could, that that word applies only in human context. All right, I'll give you that. So how about forced impregnation? Because when we're talking about cows and dairy, that's exactly what's going on. If the R word, offends your baby ears there. There's artificial insemination, violating the animal's rights, violating its private part. I don't have to get in graphic detail. It's forced impregnation. So are you okay with vegans saying that dairy is forced impregnation?
It doesn't take a huge intellect to understand how wrong this is. Think of this. If you're sitting in a restaurant and you're eating a steak, how much intention do you think that person has behind them for hurting other animals?
Leo, I can't believe that a grown medical doctor, a vegan of 10 years, is such a horrible critical thinker here. You're saying that when a person goes to a restaurant and orders a steak, they have no intention of a cow being harmed. Are you serious? This makes absolutely no sense. It's assumed if you order steak, they're bringing you a piece of a dead animal. They can't bring you a whole cow, a living cow, a walking, breathing cow. No, they're bringing you a bit of a once living animal that is now dead. It's 100% necessary. There's no way to get around that unless you're ordering some lab-grown meat or something like that. But yeah, these customers may not want any harm happen to any animals, but that's not going to happen. It's 100% necessary. If you're ordering steak, an animal must be killed for you, and there's no way around that. Whether you're aware of that, maybe you're trying to block it out because it's so horrific, but they know people aren't that ignorant, Leo.
And they're enjoying a meal. They're not actively trying to hurt someone.
True, the money they spent on that steak supported an industry that paid other people to harm and slaughter that animal for them. It's like saying, hey, I hired a hitman to kill my wife. I have no guilt in the matter. Someone else did it. I was just sitting at home when it happened.
If you compare that to, say, for example, raping, where someone is actively forcing them on someone with the intention of actually putting them through this painful, traumatic, horrible experience.
Leo, who's to say forced impregnation on an animal is not a traumatic, painful experience?
And then you're going to equate the two again. It sounds completely insane.
No, Leo, it's not an insane comparison whatsoever. You know that dairy cows are sentient beings. They have emotions. They're capable of experiencing pain and trauma, just as humans are. So why is it somehow improper or insane, as you put it, for a vegan or anyone to compare the experiences of a cow with a human?
Horrible thing to do. Not a good idea if your goal is to have veganism looked upon in a good light by other people.
Just to show our good doctor how non-vegans see the treatment of dairy cows, let's look at the New York Times here. And if you're not from our country like Leo, this is considered a very mainstream newspaper, not some kind of vegan activist website. Is dairy farming cruel to cows? And in the words of its own author here, it says, some of the vegan activist claims are beyond dispute, such as dairy cows are repeatedly impregnated by artificial insemination and have their newborns taken away at birth. Female calves are confined to individual pens and have their horn buds destroyed when they are about 8 weeks old. The males are not so lucky. Soon after birth, they are trucked off to veal farms or cattle ranches where they end up as hamburger meat.
And the other side note as well, of course, is that eating meat is something natural. Like I said, almost every person on the planet does it. It is completely normal.
All right, so now Leo is walking into some really well-known, horrible logical fallacies. The appeal to people fallacy, it goes by several names. I remember it as the appeal to majority fallacy when I was in college, but it's all the same thing. It's saying that because so many people believe something to be okay, it must be okay because most people believe it. And this has some horrible logical consequences. I mean, you could find times in the past where a majority of people thought some very immoral things were okay, such as racism or slavery. But let's continue on.
Next misconception. For people who have tried eating vegan and didn't make it, they were doing it wrong.
Of course, I can't talk to and learn about every single person in the world who tried going vegan and didn't work for them, but I have responded to quite a few people who made YouTube videos about why the vegan diet failed them, and in almost all circumstances, they were doing something extreme, like, say, not eating cooked food for years or fasting for months or whatever. I mean, but anyway, let's hear them out.
Do you really think it is reasonable? Do you really think it is fair for someone whose health is declining to keep trying different versions of this diet?
Well, Leo, there is no this diet when you're talking about veganism. It's a stance against animal cruelty and exploitation. And just there's like infinite ways to construct a non-vegan diet. There's infinite ways to construct a diet only of plants. Yeah, are all those ways going to be healthy for the meat eaters and the vegans? No, obviously not. I mean, how many people have failed on a non-vegan diet?
Not everybody can be on a vegan diet. There's no data, there's no science backing that everybody can be healthy on the vegan diet. Absolutely not.
I mean, I can't believe this is coming from a medical doctor. Leo, are you not aware of the many position papers of health organizations from around the world who have reviewed the relevant scientific research by their experts and have concluded pretty much the same thing, that appropriately planned, well-planned vegan diets are nutritionally adequate for all people in all stages of life? And notice how they didn't put a little asterisk there, like Leo is saying should be there. Like it only works for some people. No, as long as you're not doing something ridiculous, like eating junk food all the time or just eating fruit all the time, as long as you're eating a balanced, sensible vegan diet, this is what they found, that it works and is appropriate for all people, Leo. So when you say there's no scientific consensus, no research suggesting that all people can be vegan, let me see what you have, because this is what I got.
This one I know a lot of people will disagree with me on. Vegans are not morally superior to non-vegans. And I say this again, vegans are not morally superior to non-vegans. A lot of people will argue, oh no, meat eaters, they're animal abuse supporters. No, they are not. Most people in the world are against animal abuse.
Sure, Leo, most people on this planet, not to use an appeal to majority fallacy, but most people on this planet are against animal cruelty and exploitation and abuse. However, vegans take it one step better. Instead of just giving lip service to that, we actually take action into our lives. We live a life which excludes, as far as possible and practicable, all forms of cruelty and exploitation of animals. If you truly believe that to be true, you should do something about it. And that's what we do. We don't consume animal products. So are vegans morally superior to non-vegans who also believe that animal cruelty and exploitation are wrong? I don't know. You can debate that all you want, but we actually aren't hypocrites because we actually live in accordance with our moral beliefs.
We live in a complex, nuanced world, and there's absolutely a way to produce meat without animal abuse.
Are you talking about lab-grown meat? Because that's the only way I can think of, Leo.
It's just not the way most meat is produced in an industrial farming system as we have in most of the world today.
I'm confused. They're saying factory farming is wrong because of animal cruelty and abuse, but if you kill and slaughter an animal locally, that's okay. If you kill like your next door neighbor's animal and eat that, that's fine. But as long as the animal didn't grow up in a factory, what are you saying here? How do you ethically kill a sentient being, Leo, if that's what you're suggesting here?
The other one that I got a lot is eating meat is wrong, right? It's immoral to eat meat. Meat eating is evil, all this kind of stuff. So morality, by definition, is something subjective. It is something that we humans decide is incorrect, right? We don't think that any other animal has the concept of morality at all. So we have created this concept in order to separate right from wrong. Now, by definition, if this is subjective, this is going to vary. This is going to depend on who you are, where you come from, what culture you're from, what religion you're from, what interests you have, what experiences you have, what friends you surround yourself with. It is going to vary a lot from one person to the next.
So, Dr. Leo, are you suggesting that depending on where you're from, your religion, and other things like that, that it might be okay to hold some bizarre moral beliefs that are fine? Like, hey, where I'm from, my religion, it's okay to murder and rape people. It's okay to be a racist. Is that what you're saying?
So if you have something that is subjective and which varies a lot from person to person, how are we going to make a standard of morality that works for everyone?
No offense, though, since you're obviously not an expert in any of this stuff here, let me just point you to some Kantian deontology where you can read more about how murder is wrong without having to get into this whole subjective versus objective morality or anything like that. Check out a link like this or just Google deontology.
Well, in a democratic world, that means we are going to go with what most people think is okay. So by definition, most people think it is completely okay to eat meat. And who are we, the vegans of less than 1% of the population? We are an extreme minority. Who are we to be so arrogant as to tell everybody else that they are wrong and we are correct?
Once again, Dr. Leo is going down this appeal to majority fallacy, which again leads to some pretty bad things. If the majority of people believe it's okay to hate on LGBTQ, then it's okay because most people believe it's fine to hate on LGBTQ, or Chinese people like myself, or vegans. Since we're just 1% of the population, how can we speak up and say anything? We need to be quiet, right? Because that's what the majority would wish of us.
You can say that animal abuse is unethical, right? Torturing animals is unethical. Again, most people will agree on that point. However, animal abuse is not a necessary component of meat.
No, Dr. Leo, you're 100% wrong. Animal abuse and cruelty and slaughter are 100% necessary to produce meat. Even if you're growing your animal in your backyard, you're treated like a prince, like a king, and you wash it in olives every day, you're still going to ultimately kill it. You're going to end a sentient being's life. Who does not want to die? Like all sentient beings, like all humans. So don't try to green or whitewash this here, Dr. Leo. Unless you're describing lab-grown meat, it's 100% necessary to cause animal suffering, cruelty, abuse, and ultimately slaughter in order to produce meat. No way around that.
Most people do not buy meat for the animal abuse.
Well, of course, Dr. Leo, most people would rather be blissfully unaware and ignorant, try to block out of their minds the inherent cruelty and abuse that comes prepackaged when they buy their meat and dairy.
They're not trying to abuse animals. And I do agree with you. There is a lot of animal abuse in the industrial animal agriculture system.
And as well in local free-range farming as well. Because remember, the animal has to be killed ultimately.
Another reason why we are not morally superior to meat eaters is because we are also causing death of animals, innocent animals, all the time when we eat vegan food.
Oh, Dr. John, so tell me more. Are vegans by definition necessarily morally perfect beings? And if any harm happens to any creature whatsoever in the production of any food that we eat, somehow veganism isn't like vegan anymore?
Right, so all of the industrial agriculture that happens today, both for animal foods and for plant foods, do kill animals. Lots of rodents, rabbits, frogs, you name it, are getting killed by the millions.
Oh, is it just millions?
Billions of insects get murdered
every year so that we can eat our vegan food.
Right, so once again, looking at the definition of veganism, we see no mention of perfectionism and zero harm or anything like that. It's a stance against animal cruelty and exploitation as far as possible and practicable. So if it's absolutely necessary for a couple bugs or rodents to get harmed in the productions of foods that we all eat, vegans, non-vegans, livestock, that's just an unfortunate situation. It's unintentional killing. And do you understand the distinction we're trying to make here? We intend to not kill animals in our daily lives, the choices we make in our lives, such as not buying steak and eating plants instead. We make that conscious decision, but we can't avoid all unintentional harm. That's why it's called unintentional or accidental. It's like saying, hey, stop driving cars because there's accidents. We can't make it perfect. It has to be a perfect solution. And that's another fallacy. That's the appeal to futility, or the nirvana fallacy, where you need a perfect solution. If you can't achieve perfection, just chuck the idea out, chuck veganism out, because, you know, there might be some bugs that get harmed when we harvest our corn. I mean, this has been a completely surreal video for me to make and watch. I mean, I can understand, like, the typical people that come to my Friday live streams, you know, the anti-vegans that come and try to debunk veganism saying this stuff, but to see an actual vegan of 10 years and a medical doctor to boot, you know, it's just mind-blowing. Like, what's up, Dr. Leo? I mean, do you want to come by one of my Friday live streams and we could discuss this a little bit more? If you don't want to do it in person, like face-to-face, you know, we can do it. You can just type away in the chat. That would be totally cool too. So anyway, guys, let me know if I should continue on. Like I said, there's way more. There's, like, you know, maybe 3/4 more of this video I have yet to see, and this is already a pretty long video here. So let me know if you'd like me to continue on and make a part 2 or 3 if I have to. I hope not. But anyway, let me know if there's more. Let me know if you saw it, and, you know, I haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet, because, you know, let me know. So anyway, comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this video from Leo. Were you as confused and mind blown as I was? Let me know. Hit like, share this video, and remember, until next time, doesn't suck being vegan.